All right, welcome to Strictly Ball Business. I am Alec, this is Dalton, and we are talking National Basketball Association, baby, here in the United States of America. The best, what are we the best at? We're really good at deep fried stuff. We're the best deep fried nation there is.
Mostly occupied prisons is actually what America's good at.
We are so good at occupying prisons.
Yeah.
We're so good at occupying prisons. We are here to talk about some of the latest and greatest in the NBA, including the Utah Jazz. What are they going to do in the playoffs this season? What can they do to end the year to get in there, on a high note more effectively? And we're also going to talk about Saddiq Bey, just his sophomore season, what we can expect next season, possibly. What's the path for him? We're going to dive into today's Podal. Am I pronouncing that right? Portal.
Portal.
We're going to play that game. You know what I'm saying. Our boy, Jakob Portal. We're going to talk about who the top 5 plus minus is. Dalton's going to have me guess those guys and see if I can figure it out. We're also going to talk about, does shooting trump all in a rebuild? And just in general, when you have a team, can you win without shooting? Is it possible? Or with minimal shooting? And can a non-big man win DPOY? I don't know.
It's the year to do it.
But we're here, Strictly Ball Business. We're talking about the Utah Jazz heading into the playoffs. They're 45-28, firmly in the 4 seed, firmly in a way, so to speak. I don't think they're too shaky, but they did just lose by nearly 30 points to Boston. I know that was tough.
Boston's been rolling. It's hard not to lose to Boston right now.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's fucking around. Might get the 1 seed all of a sudden. So
yeah, they've been on a tear. But I mean, this isn't about. But yeah, they've gone from like 8th seed to possibly 1st. It's kind of crazy the streak they're on.
Yeah, so getting blown out by them. If you're the Jazz, it sucks. But it's not the end of the world. You're still gonna finish ahead of, for sure, the Nuggets and the Wolves. I'm sure you'll finish ahead of the Mavericks too. You just got to win a few more games here to finish out the season.
Yeah, honestly, I think they have more potential to jump up than lose their seeding. I think they could jump to 3 or 2, especially with the Steph Curry's injury, and we'll see. I'll talk about that more later. But I mean, jumping into some of the stats that they're sitting at that really directly help their wins is they're 7th in 3-point percent. 3rd in rebounding. They have the best offensive rating in the NBA. 10th defense. Honestly, best offensive rating. It's kind of crazy with Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that was surprising, to be honest, to see them number 1. I knew they were amazing last year, but to see them repeat it and even get to number 1 this year is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who like Rudy Gobert, I like Rudy Gobert, but a lot of them kind of freak out when you say he's not the best offensive player, because they're like, oh, he averages 16 a game. And I'm like, granted, I'm not saying he's a bad offensive player, but he's very limited. He's not versatile at all, does not shoot the basketball. He's just very good at what he does, which is rolling to the basketball and sitting in the dunker spot. And he's very efficient at it. Don't get me wrong. He's 70% in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, he's just, hyper efficient in his role. And I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that. Right now, he is a debatable top 3 center in the NBA. For sure, he's top 4.
Yeah.
This guy's having another amazing season, might get his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award. He is just, he's dominating. So in terms of offense, it doesn't really matter that he's not giving you more than 16, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's the issue with this team or what's preventing them from moving forward. Aside from that, moving into it, so they're 19th in turnovers, and they're 22nd in pace, 29th in assist percent. Mike Conley, I loved when he signed here. He was great. If only I knew he was in the twilight of his career.
He was great last year when he was healthy.
Last year he was
this
really
year
good. I wouldn't
been
say
pretty
great.
abysmal.
Yeah, he's shown. I mean, he's a great veteran, but if he wasn't taking up a max contract and supposed to be that second guy, I mean, You can argue.
He just signed that extension before this season too,
Yeah. And so let me look down. So these are the guys. So Rudy Gobert, argue with me all you want. He's not the second option on this team, nor should he be. He's the big man defensive center. He's not going to be that guy. That's just speaking for anyone. He's not.
There's no
the
way
second
he
option.
could be the second option because
No.
he's just not involved enough in the offense for that to be possible.
Right. And so you got Bojan. He's the second leading scorer, 18 points a game. Is Bojan your second star? He's only going to get worse as we go. That's not
a loose term.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. He's averages 18 points a game, but he's what? He's in his zoning in on his mid 30s. He's not. If he was, he's not going to be that
solid
superstar
shooter.
they need to win.
He's got good length. He's still a veteran in a lot of ways. Like maybe he hasn't been in the NBA as long as some guys, but played a lot of Euro ball. This is a guy that I trust in the playoffs.
Definitely great to have on a team if they had that second star. J-Cap, 6th man of the year, always consideration. He's awesome. I don't think
he might be the
he's what's
second
wrong with
option in a way.
Honestly, I think he is. Like he fills that role, and I don't think he's the issue here. I think between him, Mitchell, and Gobert, those three pieces are pretty set. Like I think that's fine where you're at. And then Conley,
and like
at 13
obviously
points a game.
Joe Ingles fell off. They don't have him anymore. That was a key point for them a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Mike Conley is in his twilight years here, like you said, but Rudy Gay gives them some nice minutes. Hassan Whiteside's had a great season. In terms of what we were expecting, at least. Kudos to him for finding a good fit for himself.
Yeah.
And Donovan Mitchell is such a star that he can carry a lot of these guys. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing that they don't have like another like uber great scoring option because, they just let Donovan cook. But obviously, things might be easier if they did have a more bona fide star next to him.
Yeah, so that's what breaks it down to is Donovan Mitchell averages 26 points a game. Insane. Also, though, he's taken 22, 25 shots a game, which granted, that's a lot of shots. Granted, though, like he's doing it fine. They're winning the games, but when it comes to playoffs, he's all they can lean on. And it kind of, I mean, you'd like to think as Jazz, like you can go out to Bojan, but I don't think until they get that real second offensive superstar, I don't think they're going to win a championship. Which
I don't think they're going to get another guy like that very easily, though. They locked themselves into a Mike Conley extension because that's like the best they could get for a guy that wants to come and play in Utah. Like
small market tax.
Like it's like it just is what it is. Like if they could trade for someone, that would be fantastic. But what contracts are going to be able to offload in that? You've got some contracts that have some potential to be pretty bad here soon.
Yeah, I think if they're willing to just leverage their future, which this team specifically, I'm all for.
They should. I mean, like, what's going to happen otherwise? Like, in a few years, they lose Donovan, and then they go back to rebuild anyways.
I think depending upon what the Trailblazers look like, and I know I've mentioned them a million times, but this is the spot. Like, this is my dream spot for Damian Lillard for anything. I think that would be
There's no way
insane.
he'll go there.
What do you mean? I think...
Why would he want to go there? There's no way.
I think they've established that their culture.
He would probably enjoy playing with Mitchell
and Gobert. I think that's ideal.
Don't you think Dame wants to? I feel like Dame wants to just stay in Portland. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, we'll see.
I feel like at
I
this
have no idea
point,
what
like
Portland's
he's
doing,
locked
so.
in there for his career.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, though, but they've been talking Bradley Beal. This would be a great spot. I think it could work if you move Donovan to the one. I think Donovan can play the one. He played it in college. It's just his playmaking isn't the best, and that's what they're not that it's the best. It's not championship level elite playmaker. You know what I mean? Like Chris Paul, Drew Holiday, Steph Curry type. He's not that type of playmaker, and that's my only struggle with.
I think it'd be great if
Beal's
they could
obviously
get
probably going to leave
that type of playmaker next to Donovan Mitchell. That's where they would really succeed.
So you could make an argument that Conley is that playmaker, and I think at one point he was.
I think that's why they brought Conley in, was that idea, but
and the defense. Yeah.
He's just not as effective scoring, which they need a little bit of both.
Right.
A guy who's efficient.
A lot of people want to look at this team and say all the talent's there. You got like 20-point per game scores plus Gobert, the defensive player of the year. I'm like, and they want to put it on Quentin Snyder. I don't think it's actually Quentin Snyder's fault. I look at him like he's done. No, he and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy dragged that Jazz team into relevancy. Like I remember that they beat the James Harden Rockets their first time in the playoffs. That's insane. Or either that or they got close. I don't remember. But either they beat them the second time or they pushed them to 7 games on just a rookie Donovan Mitchell. Like, and plus Quentin Snyder.
They for sure went to, I think, the second round that season with him.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, because he beat that was the reason why.
They beat the Clippers?
No, it was the OKC. That was the reason.
OKC.
That wasn't the reason. That was the Trailblazers. Forget what I said. But
forget it all.
The Jazz, I look at this team, I'm like, they're one step away from a championship. And like they've been there, they're sitting there. I think they know that. I just want to see them. It's easier said than done getting that second star, and they've done a great job. When they knew they couldn't get a second star, they went out and got these guys that can keep them playing. Like pull out guys like Nah and Rudy Gay, and they pull out Hassan Whiteside. There's still a spot like when you're a small market and you want to get a star, like they've done everything you need to do. They're like, hey, we've proven success. Just come to fucking Utah, man. Like that's it. Like it's not even bad here. Like,
I mean, they even have Dwayne Wade as a partial owner now, and it's the racism why people don't want to go there, and it's the Mormonism. It's like it has the stigmas, but Utah's beautiful.
No, yeah. I think they have everything going for them aside from being a small market, and I'd like to see them. I do think peak this year. I think if they can push themselves into that third or second, I think conference finals is where they can end up. I only see the Suns really beating them. A healthy Warriors, especially with Steph Curry the way he is, he's injured out. Draymond Green just came back. We'll see.
I mean, I don't really trust the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
I think like the only, like obviously Grizzlies have been really solid too, but you know, how do we haven't even seen them in a full playoff series before with John Morant. But the Suns, like, they're really the only sure thing that I know of right now.
Yeah, with as explosive as Donovan Mitchell is in the playoffs, I'm not sure the Grizzlies have the weapons to defend him or to pull a defensive scheme around him. Also, you're asking Steven Adams to do a lot with Rudy Gobert, which granted is fine.
Who wins best of 7 Jazz Mavs?
Jazz Mavs? Mm-hmm. I would have the Jazz in 6. Oh, best of 7? Jazz anyway. If it goes to 7, I'd have the Jazz. They've just proven that they have the pedigree to do it. In year 7, so like whatever. If you're saying they win it in 6 games, that's fine too. Jazz in 6.
Jazz versus Wolves.
Jazz in 5.
Oh, you motherfucker. Piece of...
I just feel like Rudy's gonna like lock down the paint. Cat's gonna get really angry, and a lot of what happened last night. Granted, last night was every time you face the Suns, the officiating's gonna be horrible against you.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's just the Chris Paul effect, minus Scott Foster.
Yeah, I mean Chris Paul wasn't playing, but
no, but he's there. Was he there?
Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah, on the bench.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like essentially just a coach anyway at this point. If Chris Paul doesn't coach,
he does so much in terms of as a player as well.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean like he has the effect of him on the floor isn't completely lost when he's just sitting on the bench. That's what I mean. Like he's a great player. But I'm saying like his effect.
Yeah, he'll definitely be a head coach when he's done with the league.
He better be. He's him and Rondo are like the smartest players I've ever seen play basketball. Obviously, LeBron is. You can't take that away.
It's just so funny, like all the players that we watched growing up that now they're just becoming head coaches, like Steve Nash, and we didn't watch Steve Kerr obviously, but Derek Fisher was a head coach for a sec. Luke Walton,
Derek Fisher, Tim Duncan.
Just random ass. Yeah, Tim Duncan. He'll be a head coach someday, which is interesting.
Probably for the Spurs.
Yeah, I never thought like that would be what he was going to be interested in. He didn't like strike me as that guy.
You didn't know what he was interested in other than just wearing like faded jeans and not talking.
He got like twirls in his hair after he retired.
Yeah, he went crazy.
He's like, yeah, I smoke pot now. My accountant stole over $2 million from me. I'm gonna be a head coach.
Fuck yeah.
I think we've talked a lot about the Jazz. We kind of trailed off anyways, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about Saddiq Bey, man. He is a baller, but one who has tailed off a little bit in some ways this year while ramping it up in other ways. It makes us wonder, who is Saddiq Bey and where does he go?
So Saddiq Bey, much like a lot of players right now, he's kind of turned his season around the last 10 games. He's looking a lot better. Efficiency-wise, a lot better. Last 10 games, 18.7 points per game, 42, 40, 75 shooting splits, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 0.8 turnovers. Really what jumps out, aside from the shooting, which that's just kind of his staple. He's the 3-point
percentage is great. I mean, that's better than either of his season totals.
Right.
So
his season total is 36, so it's still not bad. Like even throughout the season, he's still been a fine shooter.
I mean, it's on double his volume as last year too.
Yeah. Really, what's impressive for me is that wing playmaking potential. 3.5 assists at 0.8 turnovers. That's pretty good. You know, I don't think that'll hold up in the long run, but still, that's really nice to have. Adds so much versatility to your offense. He's definitely able to make the next pass, make the next swing, especially in those swing plays. He's awesome. He's not looking just to get his shot. It's actually pretty refreshing to see out of a young wing like that.
Yeah, no doubt. His assists keep going up, and I think he's clearly getting some good coaching here. I think him being on the perimeter, being able to pass it from Cade and killing him himself, like, you know, you got some fast guys who you can pick some energy off of.
Oh, yeah. And I think really what's going to define his play is his defensive game going forward. That's going to define who he can be. I don't think he's going to be more than maybe a 21 on assuming they don't have a second star. I can see him getting up to 22 points per game. I don't think he's that second star on a championship team. I think he's.
I mean, ideally, they're going to get their second guy in the draft this offseason. They're going to have a pretty good pick from what the looks of it is. Mm-hmm. So Saddiq Bey is not going to be asked to be like their second guy. He'll be like the third guy. And I think he'll be a really good one, you know, maybe like a Jeremy Grant type of guy. You know, he's
Jeremy Grant type guy
right now.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what like a good comparison for him, what it would be. And it's like,
yeah, because he's unique, because he can shoot well.
Yeah, like depending upon where his defense goes, like a watered down Klay Thompson. And I think that's not the worst thing.
Like a ringed out towel of Klay Thompson.
I mean, like Klay Thompson's like comparing some guy to be like one of the best shooters in the league. Like he doesn't take many dribbles. Saddiq is
Klay's
very like
top
catch
75 of all time.
No, well, it's injuries and stuff. We'll see how that goes. But he's very comparable to like Klay Thompson, and the reason why Klay Thompson works on the Warriors is because they have an ultimate playmaker at the 4. So that's why you can get away with a guy that doesn't take that many dribbles or can do only limited stuff off the dribble like Klay does. I mean, Klay's the best catch and shooter of all time. Yeah, like a 76ers Andre Iguodala that can shoot.
Yeah, really, you know, really the one before he got the big contract. He's a good defender.
I think that's like I said, that's gonna depend upon. Hopefully, he doesn't. If he wants this team to do well, I can see if he takes up like that much money when his contract comes around, and he's that one of those guys that's good enough to make like what's a good example? Who just got paid? That's like all right. Jonathan Isaac.
That's all right.
Yeah, Jonathan Isaac's taking up 17. Maybe that's like fine for him though. like Tobias Harris. Maybe not that drastic. I don't think he'll ever get that much. Yeah, I don't think he'll get a max. But if he gets close to 30,
we're thinking about like
25,
what contract he'll probably get, like same contract like Duncan Robinson and Norman Powell got. I think he's like
17.
Norman Powell, that type of skill range. So it's like 5-year, $90 million.
5-year, $90 million.
He was like 17 or 18.
That's 17 to 18 is what I hope. But what I'm saying is like, if he is one of those guys that's like, hey, you got to pay me 25 or 30, you're a small market, I'm scoring this much, and they do it, I think that really sucks for the Pistons because that limits them so much in free agency. And if he wanted to win
for that, you just let him go.
Yeah, really, do you? But then you get like things like, he was asking for too much money. How can you let him go? You just pay for him, like small market tax. Be like, I get it. I'm like, listen, you're gonna leverage us so much by making us pay that money. If you're one of those guys that are good enough to get the money but not good enough for to be a top 3 scoring option, then we don't need to pay you that much. And like, I think it's tough when it comes to these small markets because they have to make that choice.
I mean, there's still a salary cap. Like, you can't expect teams to just wastefully use it. Like, if he's asking for like $8 million more than he's worth, that's a big gap.
Yeah,
and, I mean, you can't, like, $8 million. You can fill that up with another solid player. And if you're the Pistons, you take as many solid players as you can get.
Yeah, I think the core they have, if they find their second star and then fill in a bunch of vets, I think that's a solid playoff team. Like, you have Cade. It's gonna take him 2 or 3 years to get to peak Cade.
I bet they make the playoffs in 2 or 3 years.
I don't
3
think
years for
this
sure.
next year, but the year after this next year.
Yeah, so not next season,
2024.
But I think for sure I could see that happening, no doubt.
Yeah,
because some other teams will bow out till then. I mean, just last year the Knicks and the Hawks were really good, and look at them now. Things change year by year.
Oh, yeah, and I think especially if they hold on to Jeremy Grant, who wants to stay, Saddiq Bey, I think he'll still be on his rookie contract by then, and obviously Cade will still be on his rookie contract. Whomever they pick up this draft, I think they'll certainly have a good team around them. 3-point shooting, though. Like, 3.3 a game, shooting 40%. Come on, like, you gotta keep that. Like, be like, listen, man, like, we know you're valuable, but you're like, at most 20 million valuable.
Yeah, maybe that's where it ends up, is like a 4-year, $80 million type of thing. Hopefully. I can see it maybe. But
speaking of 3-point shooting,
Saddiq Bey is a solid player. So
yeah, I really like watching him. He's awesome to watch. Very fun catch and shoot player. He just kind of makes the floor open up.
High energy. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential in this league.
Oh yeah. But speaking of 3-point shooting and how important it is in a young star, I think this isn't a hot take at all, but 3-point shooting has to be the priority for all teams when they're considering a rebuild. Like, you pull in guys, I'm not saying you see these prospects like Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes and you just pass on them because they can't shoot threes. Talent's talent, but ultimately your team has to be shooting. Like, everyone has to shoot three efficiently too. So let's look at these top 10 right now. Top 10 teams in 3-point efficiency. You got the Heat at number 1, obviously, really good team, borderline contender. Bulls,
number 1 seed in the East. I mean, that matters.
Bulls, super surprising, but I'll jump into that too. Hawks, they're struggling, but I think it's their 3-point shooting that is keeping them relevant. And it's their Trae Young, their playmaking. Obviously, there's a lot of factors, but if they couldn't shoot the 3, I don't think there will be nearly as good.
Yeah,
as
their defense is just atrocious.
Yeah, that's something else they got to figure out. Bucks, obviously championship contenders. Obviously, they just won the championship. Suns, best team in the league. Clippers, that's kind of the outlier.
Playoff team.
They are a playoff team. They've been doing really well. We got the Jazz. Again, we just talked about them. Possible contenders. They're one step away. Warriors, contenders. Stop it. Hornets.
Stop it.
Hornets, awesome. Hornets are they're good. I mean, they're a borderline team right now, but I think same as the Hawks, their 3-point shooting is the reason why they're so far, and all their other struggles are obviously what they're struggling with. And then 76ers.
They have good ball movement too.
76ers obviously a contender too. Top to I think if James Harden was if this is if you're looking at the teams from the trade deadline, 76ers would be way higher in their 3-point efficiency. I don't think they'd be 10. I think they'd be sitting around 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably lead the league in free throw percentage too.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's 3-point. Like all those teams are good teams, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think the bad
no doubt.
3-point teams, or like not that 3-point shooting teams, aren't even made. Even let me jump into another one. Even 3-pointers made. All these are good teams too. Wolves are best in 3-pointers made. They're number 1 in 3-pointers made. Playoff team, obviously, lately. That's probably what has skewed their efficiency.
Yeah, that's their system. I mean, their
Yeah.
system is live and die by the 3. Try to get to the rim as well, but not a whole lot of mid-range shots on that team.
Yeah, their system is everyone but Jared Vanderbilt shoot the 3, which is a good system, I guess, obviously.
Well, it works because it's like even if you're not efficient, high volume works.
Right. And then you have the Jazz, Warriors, Bucks, Hornets, Heat, and then you have the Rockets. They're the only outlier in this. However, they just shoot as many threes as they can. That they have the same system without.
Yeah, it's like who the Wolves were, just last year.
Yeah,
we led the Wolves. The Wolves led the league, I think, in 3-point attempts, or were like high up there the last couple of years when they were terrible, and people were like, "What are you doing shooting that much?" And it's like we're trying to build a system, and we're figuring out who doesn't belong in that system, and that's exactly what the Rockets are doing right now. They just spent 4 first-round picks this last season, and they have other young guys, and they're gonna have another pick or 2 this season. Like they're trying to figure out who works in their system.
Right. Yeah. And you can see it as, but they're a bad team. I'm like, maybe they have the right idea. That's what the trend is towards. I mean,
yeah, rebuilds don't take 1 year.
No. But then you got the Knicks, who are just kind of a fucking mess, and they're the real outlier here, is what I'm thinking. At least maybe this is what's keeping them close to the playoffs, is their 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I think it's just surprising to see Knicks in any type of good category, but maybe they're shooting a lot of threes and missing them.
Right. But then you got the Celtics, obviously, cool, and then the Blazers, which I think they fall in the same category as the Rockets, where it's like maybe they have the right idea, they know where to start and move from there. And I think it's
good second half of the season too.
Yeah, I think the age of the big man is going away, and I think a guy who rebounds and can play defense is a lot more common than a guy who can efficiently shoot the 3. And I think that's what we're leaning towards. And I think that's definitely, I mean, LeBron introduced this idea where even if a guy can't shoot threes, and if he's a great talent, just surround him with as many shooters as you can, and you can win a team. I mean, how many times?
That's the modern blueprint, for a team to really, if you got a star like that, at least. But I am going to disagree with you that you think the big man is dying, because currently we have Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid, who most consider to be the leaders for the MVP candidates right now. And outside of that, Karl Anthony Towns is a big man who is shooting over 40% from beyond the arc this season.
That's a good point. I think they're becoming more of an afterthought. They're not a priority anymore. You see guys, especially in this last draft, Mobley was great. I mean, look at him. He's about to win Rookie of the Year, and that's almost
another
evidence
big man
enough. But that's almost evidence enough. He fell to 4.
It was 3.
2. He was 2.
What is that evidence of? No, he was 3.
Yeah. No, it's evidence. Like, you look at guys like Jalen Green, the guy who's drafted before him, and they're just like, oh yeah, look, like there's some that could have argued
just because he wasn't a big man though.
No. So
like Jalen Green more.
I mean, there's some arguments that you could have looked at it. Like, I thought the Rockets should have picked up Evan Mobley. I thought he was the better player at the time, and
I thought Jalen Green was a better player at the time.
Oh well, but
that was just a legitimate opinion at the time.
Yeah, but then I just think all these teams are just like we just said. I think they're prioritizing all these guards and guys who can play making 3. I think big man, unless they're an elite talent, it is such a huge drop off from elite big man to just.
Oh, I agree with that. I'll give you that. There is a big drop off from elite big man to the non-elite, but there are some real elite ones. And we still have a lot of really good forwards who are just big enough where they could play like the center position. Like we've got LeBron, who has shown us he can play the center position. Kevin Durant, obviously defensively couldn't, but he is an amazing big man. He's probably like 7 feet tall. That's pretty big in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty big. But yeah, I mean, 3-point shooting it's just where it's going. And I mean, the Jazz, Lakers, 76ers, they were struggling. Jazz figured it out. Lakers never figured it out. I mean, look at the Lakers. They're a perfect example on you just have to shoot, otherwise you're not going to be.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like
because it piles up on you if you're going up against a team who can shoot and you can't keep up with them.
Right.
Like you miss a couple of your shots, but they hit 3 threes in a row. They just 9-0 run you. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, the 76ers were really struggling at the beginning of the season because they just couldn't figure it out shooting wise. And then obviously the Lakers, like people, a lot of times, I think a lot of the people watching will be like, duh, yeah, 3-point shooting is important. But I don't think people understand how important it is now because so many people shoot threes. Like you cannot do it. You cannot be an NBA team without elite shooing like that. I mean, teams look
for it in the draft constantly. Like it's what you need. Everybody knows it. Like, you just like, even when you're drafting guys, you're training them how to shoot like instantly from then if they're not a good shooter anyways, because like you need to get them to an acceptable level. Like not everyone's going to shoot 40% from 3, obviously, but you could get them to 35% maybe, you know, get a nice, good looking jumper or at least good form. It helps you inside the 3-point arc as well. If you don't have good form and you fix it. And at the very least, if you got to put up a shot when you're deep in a shot clock, you've got the opportunity to put up a good one. Yeah,
for sure. It can make or break an offense like that, and that's obviously super important.
It adds a lot. I mean, and especially, bringing it back kind of like to the big man too. If a big man and everyone on the starting 5 and 5-man on the court, if they all can shoot, everyone's a threat. You have to spread the defense out. You can get to the rim easier. Your just playbook opens up more. It's shooting solves all your problems in the end.
Oh yeah. Shooting's the reason why Rudy Gobert gets taken off in the playoffs. If you have all 5 that can shoot and all 5 you hang out and you play 5 out, you get the switch and he ends up getting switched on a guard. And Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year, gets sat, gets benched because an offense is so good at 3-point
that shooting. That is crazy. I mean, what else do you need to know to tell you that shooting is all that matters? If the 3-time and potentially 4-time defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, has to get subbed out because he doesn't shoot well enough and can't guard shooters well.
It's important in this league. Just wanted a foot stomp it. Just thought it was worth talking about. But it's also crazy though. Like, it's not just how much you shoot it. It's if you're not going to shoot it well, you have to shoot it efficiently, and that is the perfect example of the Bulls. So the Bulls, they're second in 3-point percentage, right? Obviously, we were just talking about how they're a fringe contender, but they are 28th in 3-pointers made. They are 28th, but they're the second best efficiency. And that, if you're not going to shoot threes, you better fucking be good at it. It makes sense in that way. Like,
I guess maybe they just know themselves well enough. They're just not shooting them unless they're wide open. Is that what it is?
No, I think it's the DeRozan identity. If you're not that efficient at shooting threes, you don't need to shoot them. However, yeah, it's all like shot creation and who shoots.
I mean, Levine's never been an efficient 3-point shooter, so maybe he's realizing he doesn't need to focus on that as much. But
and Vooch has struggled. But the thing is about that lineup is all 5 of them can shoot threes when they have out on the floor, and they have the ability. They won't surprise you if they hit a 3. I think that's just a perfect example of Billy Donovan being one of the smartest coaches in the NBA, looking at the personnel he has, and he's like, all right, fine. You guys don't want to shoot that many threes? We won't. But when we have a play, it's going to be a damn good play, and you're going to be open, and you better hit it. Otherwise, if you don't hit these, but it makes or breaks. If they don't hit their threes, they're dead. They're dead in the water because then they loses it. But
no doubt. And we've seen them be dead in the water a lot. They're probably going to get swept in the playoffs because guess what? They've lost to every single team that is better than them this season. That is fact, or at least it's the top like 6 seeds in the league, which I think is the same thing. So. That's fucked up, on this week's episode. That's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
Next up, do you want to talk about you want to play the game or what?
Yeah, let's play the game.
All right, guys. Strictly ball business. We're gonna play Hodl, and we're gonna see if I can guess it in 5 tries. Is that what we're doing? Or
no, we're both gonna converse and like talk about who. We'll see if we get it. The thing in 5 tries is the other one.
Okay.
But yeah, this one we're just gonna. Well, we're gonna do it together. Who do you usually start out with?
How romantic. Well, in Wordle, I usually do a do. In Hodl, I usually just do whoever comes to my mind first.
I usually like to. I like. I think I start with guys like. Usually I like the spread. Like I think.
Spread. You like to spread them?
No, I mean like. A forward center. I think who's that? Who do I use?
Oh yeah, you like to change up the positions. Like
I like multiple positions because it'll catch it. Like if it's guys.
Okay, so like the wings. So
like something
like Michael Bridges.
Yeah. Well,
like a guard forward or like
Tyler Hero. I can start with Tyler Hero. I'm good with Tyler Hero. If you want to start with him, we can start with him.
All right, let's start with Tyler Hero. Let's do it. All right, nothing registered on that, so we know he's in the West, and he's not a guard. So maybe let's guess it's probably on like a team that's being talked about recently. So maybe let's guess a player on the Jazz. I mean, we talked a lot about the Jazz today. So.
Yeah, he's a taller guy. So Bojan. Could he be Bojan?
Let's try Bojan. That sounds good. Okay. It is a forward in the Northwest Division. So we're close, but he's taller than 6'7". Okay, so Northwest, so it could be a Timberwolf, it could be a Blazer.
They just had Cat a few days ago. So. Could it be Jared Vanderbilt?
It's a forward too. It could be Vanderbilt.
He's 6'8".
I'd be down to try that.
That's close.
Okay, it's not a Timberwolf, and it is a 6'8" player. It looks like because they got Vanderbilt registered at 6'9" here.
Oh, okay.
Somebody between the age 22 and 32, so spent a few years in the league, but not an old guy.
Oh, it says he's older than 32.
Oh shit, he's older than 32. Oh, that's good to know.
Who's really fucking old?
Okay, forward. So on the maybe someone on the Blazers or the Thunder.
Blazers don't have that many old guys, do they? And Thunder definitely does.
Why did they make the Utah yellow but not Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't they the same division?
Yeah. But maybe Utah's closer? Who's all in the... Could it be a Blazer?
Oh, the Nuggets are in the division too, so it could be someone there.
Could be the Nuggets. Millsap's not on that team. J. Michael Green? How old is Green?
Green's probably not that old. I don't think he's that old. I'm pretty sure he's under 30. Maybe
J. Michael Green? J. Michael Green?
No, he's not over 30.
Oh, no. What about... No, not J. Other Green.
Oh, Jeff Green? Green.
Dude,
it's got to be him. Yeah, that's a good guess. Oh, it's Jeff Green.
What
nice.
Up? Perfect.
Nice. That's legit. All right.
That's my guy. I loved him
Jeff
with
Green.
the Magic. Dude,
I love Jeff Green. I mean, the fact that he's still playing is so sick.
He was
it's actually one of the coolest things.
Yeah, he was Kawhi before all the Kawhi jokes, all the emotionless dunking. That was him.
Oh yeah.
That was. I would laugh so much.
He's like a man of his business. I mean, he scored 40 points in a game last year, and he was just like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
business. It's not business. You're fucking not supposed to do this, Jeff.
He's actually one of those players that it's like, you wish that you would have seen him if he didn't get injured with the. He had a really bad injury with the Celtics, and he was looking really well, really
he was
good.
Real good with the Celtics for that too.
Yeah,
he had a bad injury.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a? He didn't have a bone pop out, did he? He just had like a tear.
No, I think it was a compound fracture. I forgot what it was though. I think it was like I can't tell. I don't want to say it because I know I'll get it wrong. But
yeah, well, we're happy to see.
4 tries.
He's pulled a career out here, and 4 tries. We guessed it, so not bad.
I got you, Jeff. All right, but now we'll move on to another game. This is a game I wanted to play because I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting. I didn't think it was like. So this is not. There are no surprising players on this top 5 plus minus. Though the uninitiated, plus minus is basically how the NBA values players. It takes the offensive rating minus the defensive rating. So if you have really good offense and really good defense, you'll get a really big number. So this takes the top 5 in the NBA, granted, that have played at least 50 games this season. So I narrowed it down to at least 50 games this season, and they're starters. They're not bench players, because bench players can get a little inflated because of how much their minutes are displayed and stuff. So only
like
starters.
Clarkson.
Yeah. I think it counts. It counts like guys like Jordan Clarkson but 50 games. So guys who play more than, I think it was more than like 25 minutes.
Okay.
So 20, 25 minutes. So
yeah, so it's going to be, someone who's really good offensively and really good defensively. So
we can try. If you want to guess, you can just throw out guesses, and I'll not throw them out. But you don't need to guess 1 through 5. You just need to guess the top 5.
Okay, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He is 7. He's the 7th.
What the hell?
He's number 7. It's kind of crazy, but
Mikal Bridges
is number 3. Ding, ding, ding,
My
ding.
dog.
He's on there. He got one. Second guess.
Yeah, he's legit, man.
Yeah, he's 3. It was crazy because when we get in there, I was thinking about him and another guy that was on this list, and I was comparing them. And I was like, oh, maybe he does deserve Defensive Player of the Year.
Damn. Yeah, that's legit, man. Mikal Bridges having such a great season. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is number 4.
Oh,
yeah, these guys. This one's kind of obvious. Like next time we do,
I'm kind of feeling the theme here is the Phoenix Suns. So I'm gonna go ahead and guess Devin Booker.
Oh yeah, he's number 5.
Oh man, crazy. They're right there, 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I think the Phoenix Suns are winning the championship this year.
Kind of have to.
Oh my god, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, those 3 guys and DeAndre Ayton and the deep bench with Jay Crowder and a rejuvenized Bismack Biyombo.
Yeah.
And Cam Johnson. Oh my god. Crazy. All right. So I've guessed 3 of them so far in the top 5.
3 for 5. So
they're all
Bridges, Paul, and
Phoenix
Booker. You're missing 1 and 2. Yeah.
Okay. So someone good.
There are no more Suns. I'll give you that.
There's no more Suns.
No more Suns on this top 5 list.
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry is not on here.
The fuck, Kyle?
I know Kyle. Maybe in the Raptors he would have been.
MVP candidate Jason Tatum
is number 1. He's the highest plus minus for players of this criteria. He's playing really well lately too.
Like the NBA, they started their narrative too early that like he wasn't allowed to have a running, but he deserves a shot at MVP. Especially, dude, if they get the number 1 seed, fucking give it to him.
Yeah, like that rockets him in there. Like he's obviously a huge part of that. Just for plus minus alone, like if that doesn't get you a MVP nod, I don't know what will in this league. Besides a good story, I guess.
Besides a good story.
All right, 2. Who is number 2?
Well, I don't know if he's a good enough defender for this, but Nikola Jokic.
He is not. He's not the plus minus god. I think it's kind of just because everyone else on the Nuggets, they're struggling with like defense. Yeah. But I think that's what carries his what lifts his defensive rating.
Gotcha. How about Steph Curry?
He's number 2. You guessed them all. Look at that. That's
Steph
insane.
Curry's number 2.
Steph Curry's number 2. His defense has been pretty good this year. His offense is always really good. His rating's always. But what made his plus minus? I was just trying to
get that guess out of the way. I thought it was going to be maybe someone surprising.
No, like no one's surprising. Tatum, Curry, Bridges, Paul, and Booker. You know who 6 and 8 were? Those guesses. They're both Celtics.
Okay, so did I say Tatum was one of them, or he was
Tatum was number 1.
So Brown must be 6, or Robert Williams is 6, and Jaylen Brown's 8.
Brown is 6. Smart is 8. Smart's really had a turnaround.
Smart's had a real good turnaround season. Last year and the beginning of this season had us questioning if this was the new Marcus Smart that we were seeing, but old Marcus Smart's back. And this team,
and he kept his skills from last year too. His offense is still holding up.
Clearly, was a great idea to hire Ime Udoka as their head coach.
Yeah, that was the one I told you. That was my favorite this year, aside from Rick Carlisle. But we haven't really gotten to see that. I don't think it's fair to say Rick Carlisle was a bust of a. I think they just went.
It's too early. I think we just got confirmation that the Indiana Pacers roster was mediocre at best, and everyone knew that except for the Indiana Pacer front office.
Right. They made the choice, and I thought it was the right choice that they didn't want to get stuck in limbo for a few years, like the Kemba Walker.
Yeah, I mean they already were stuck in limbo for years. They finally ripped the Band-Aid. God, dang.
Good for them.
But so next we are gonna talk about I think our last topic for today. Can a non-big man win Defensive Player of the Year? We were just talking about a guy who could potentially do it this season. Mikal Bridges, he is 3rd in overall plus minus in the NBA. So, on top of being a great defender, he does it on offense as well, which I know doesn't impact this award. But hey, I like a guy who can do a little bit of it all. And Mikal Bridges is that guy on the perimeter. He is leading the front, making sure that the pressure getting to DeAndre Ayton is not that thick, and that the swatting attempts that he gets are much easier to get away because Mikal Bridges is right there being a pest the whole time. He's not as annoying as a Patrick Beverley, but he's right there on you, and he is lengthy. That wingspan, man, he's a big guy, and he's relentless. He doesn't really get tired.
That's a great word for it. He's definitely not as annoying as Pat Beverley. I do think he's just as much, if not more, of a pest defensively than
he's he's just not the personality that Pat is as much. But not everyone does crack cocaine for breakfast like Pat. Mikal still is a fiend, and you see him locking you up. You're wishing that you didn't have the basketball.
I love how much he loves defending. When you watch him, you'll see him just dig right in, and that's I actually really love watching defense, almost more than good offense in the NBA, and he's super fun to watch. 12th in defensive rating, 106.6, great. For starters, I played more than 60 games. People like to argue, especially this is what that center for Defensive Player of the Year thing is. The biggest argument is take DeAndre Ayton off that team. They're instantly worse defensively. I don't think that's fair. I think people who just watch basketball don't understand that a center doesn't you don't just, if there's a really good center, you don't just match him up with a center. I mean, he will be. But the center's role in the defense is a lot more different than a wing player's role in the defense. With switching, of course you're not going to expect Mikal Bridges to sit in the paint and be like, all right, if anybody tries to drive, you have to block it. It's totally different defensive roles. So what Defensive Player of the Year is, you take that role, and you're like, who's best, not in that specific role, who takes their role and affects their defense the most. And for what Mikal Bridges does, I think he really does. I think he really does affect it. Right, you have a point. Take Ayton. Without Ayton, he's still the same defensive player doing the same role, but their defense is obviously affected. But I don't think that's a fair assessment. a fair argument, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's like the argument for sure that a lot of people will make for Gobert and big man over a small guy time and time again. It's just his impact on the interior game, because guys have to come through him. He's in there. He's holding the fort. Like, guys have to get through him. And if he's getting 4, almost 5 blocks a game, it's hard to ignore that. It's just more impactful on the stats, and people are looking at the stat sheets and like, whoa, that's much more than what Michael's giving me. But it's like, yeah, I mean, Michael giving you like 4 steals a game would be impossible. Like, I'm sorry, never gonna happen. And Michael giving you that many blocks is definitely not gonna happen either. But his impact is serious and deserves recognition as well. And if we're being frank, Rudy Gobert has 3 Defensive Player of the Years. He does not need a 4th this year. He will probably be just as good next year if you want to give him another. Every now and then, you got to give another small guy his kudos. Like last year, Ben Simmons was 2nd place in it, and it was just kind of like, okay, there you go, golf clap. You're happy now, small guys. You got your award. And it's like, well, what? Ben's like 6'9" too.
Yeah, he's a big guy. No, I do disagree that I think if you earn it, doesn't matter whether you've won it 3 times in a row. This is like the case for me. Why Giannis doesn't win MVP every year. I do think if you earn it, just because you won it before, it shouldn't affect it. However, I do.
But
think
it's weird how the narrative thing affects certain awards and it doesn't affect others.
Yeah, no, that's right, because they do it because not many people care who the Defensive Player of the Year is. I do think it's your effect on the team, and I do think Mikal right now has more effect for what he's done, for what the Phoenix Suns have done this year, more than Rudy Gobert. But I mean, like, I think a lot of guards should, like, it should matter. Like, I mean, you take guys like, if you're just taking big men, Al Horford has a 103.3 defensive rating. It's kind of fucking insane. Like, if you're just looking at big men and what they do, that's still really good. But then,
it's crazy for old man Horford to be doing that. But rating gets affected a lot by your team, and their defense has been really on point lately.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at some of the top guards that have really good, that are top 5 defensive rating for guards, it's Curry, Conley, and Wiggins. That's kind of, see, you can't just judge it off that. So those aren't the best, but like Drew Holiday, I mean, he's not in the top 10 for that stuff, but he's obvious. I still think today he's the best defensive guard in the NBA. Next
he's
to
definitely like
Marcus
the best
Smart's up there
on-ball
too.
defender in the NBA, or for a guard. So I mean, that's more important than what those guys are doing off ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Giannis is the best help defender in the league, and that's why people are like, why don't you just have him guard Kevin Durant? I'm like, it's not that simple. I mean, like, we
play our roles. We're in the coaching system. Like, Bud is setting Giannis up to be in certain spots. Monty is setting up Chris Paul and Devin Booker to be in certain spots too. Like, a lot of it comes down to the coaching. Is it a shock that top guys and plus minus happen to be really good defenders? They're all like 3 of them are on the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
Phoenix Suns have a fantastic defensive coach. I mean, shouldn't be surprising. Is it surprising that the Heat are a great defensive team? No, they've got great defensive players and a great defensive coach. Like, stuff makes sense, makes sense. To win Defensive Player of the Year, I just don't know if it's gonna happen this year. I'd love it to happen.
I will say, I did want to mention that another player that could definitely get mentioned is that doesn't get talked about enough for this award is Triple J. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has done a great job for the Grizzlies. I think that's a huge part. His full season is a huge part of why they're a success, and his defense is what's doing that.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic. I think he's right up there in the top 5 considerations. So he's probably not going to get talked a lot in like mainstream NBA circles, but he's had a fantastic season, and obviously Draymond was having a fantastic one too before he was hurt. I think he was in the contention as well.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know who's the third guy then. Who's the third guy if it's Mikel and Gobert?
Giannis.
I mean, yeah, you can throw Giannis in there. Obviously, Giannis has the same effect every time, and I think now that Drew is on that team, I don't know if he should get Defensive Player of the Year. It's the same reason why I didn't think Kevin Durant should ever be in MVP voting when James Harden and Kyrie Irving were on his team. I just didn't think it was fair. I was like, I mean, like, yeah, they're good. Like, if they're like, there should almost be like a you fucked it up award where it's like you had this was yours to lose. Like,
yeah, this was yours. You fucked it up. Yeah, I mean, it's truly, it's like when you take it into consideration and they use a metric for winning MVP as like having a lot of games won. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, he had like all these great teammates. Like, he was supposed to dominate. What do you mean? Like, even with Giannis, like, had, amazing seasons, won MVP, totally deserved him. But it's like, I don't want to hear the criteria being like how amazing this team is. Like, I think we need to open it up to everyone. It's like, are they going to give it to Nikola Jokic this year, or are they going to bar him from it because they're like the 6th or 7th seed to end the year?
I do. Yeah, I think it's just like it's a combination for me. It's a combination of the makeup, the success, and I think Jokic definitely deserves to be up there. I don't like Joel Embiid. However, what he's done,
I don't like Joel Embiid.
I don't like Joel Embiid.
Opinion now.
Anyway, that was strictly ball business.
That's all right. I don't like Joel Embiid either, but that's more so because of the leading the league in free throw attempts and the flopping. Like, his offensive game right now is just bulldoze your way to the rim, flail your arms up, get the whistle. That is not fun to watch. No. I don't care who you are. And if you are a Philadelphia fan, I want you to fuck yourself anyways. Like, now they have James Harden, who's the same guy anyways. And like, you guys are going to choke in the playoffs. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, you add 2 playoff chokers together. What do you think you're going to get? What
you're going to get is Tobias Harris, MVP. I'm starting now.
Tobias Harris. Let him know. No, Shake Milton, actually.
Yeah, J. Cole deserves it.
MVP Shake.
Dude. Yeah, no, when I freaked out, my door is shut, like fully shut, and Fred smashed open my door. Like, I heard him trying to like push it open with his paw before, and then I just heard a boom, and he just like crashed through, and he's like, dude, it's 7, I gotta eat. Here. Yeah.
He's like, it's time, motherfucker.
Dude, we gotta finish, all right? I'm working.
All right, yeah, we're wrapping up here. This was strictly ball business. I think episode 33.
33. Larry Bird. It's our Larry Bird episode.
Woo! It's been good. I mean, we've been doing it for a while now. It's been really fun, and I think you guys should help us grow this channel more by subscribing below. I think we're a couple of fun guys. We may be past our prime for playing basketball, and maybe never were tall enough, but we're all right at talking about it. And we would love if you joined us, for new episodes that come out weekly. We talk about all that there is about basketball, and who knows, maybe we'll have more different stuff coming soon to you.
Yeah, working on it. Give us a subscribe. Do it for Fred. Tell your friends.
Do it for Fred. He's in the corner there. You can see him. He's beautiful. Yeah. Anything else for the folks? Yeah.
I got nothing.
Guys. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
Yo, it's Alec here with Strictly Ball Business. Make sure to subscribe and view our next video that pops up in your queue.